Have you ever really stopped to think about how much our thoughts, our feelings actually shape our lives day to day?
It's a huge question. People like Roland McGrady have done amazing work showing the heart-feeling connection.
Right. And Lynn McTaggart, she talks about how our thoughts today literally create our reality tomorrow.
Powerful stuff.
So, okay, let's really get into this. Today we're doing a deep dive based on some material you shared from Dr. Joe Dispenza. We want to understand how we can genuinely change ourselves, like from the inside.
And the goal isn't just theory, right? It's about finding the practical takeaways, things you can actually use.
Exactly. Practical stuff. The core idea is breaking the habit of being yourself. Sounds simple,
Oh.
but wow, creating a new you.
It is a big idea that we're
Yeah.
not just stuck. Dr. Dispenza really lays out a case, starting with, well, the very basics of reality.
Yeah, the quantum you. It's fascinating. So way back, science saw mind and matter as like totally separate things.
Apples and oranges.
Right. But then Einstein comes along with EMCR and basically says, hold on, energy and matter, they're kind of interchangeable, two sides of one coin.
Which changes everything.
It really does. And then you look at atoms, the tiny building blocks of everything. What are they mostly made of?
Empty space, energy.
Exactly, mostly energy. And here's the wild part, those even tinier bits inside, subatomic particles, they actually react.
When we observe them. The observer effect.
Yeah, when we pay attention. So it just makes you think, doesn't it? If our focus can change things at that tiny level, what does that mean for, creating the life you want?
It definitely shifts your perspective. Thinking of the universe as this, like, field of potential, just waiting for a conscious observer. Waiting for us.
It puts us in the driver's seat, in a way. Not like magic, but suggesting our thoughts really matter, fundamentally.
Absolutely. And speaking of what's fundamental, let's talk about the brain itself.
Okay, yeah. Dr. Amen's point in the foreword is so key. A healthier brain means a better life. Happier, healthier, wealthier. Even wiser decisions, longer life. Makes sense, right?
Totally. But it's not just about, avoiding head injuries.
No, it's the everyday stuff too, like negative thinking, bad habits we pick up. I saw it with my brother growing up. The stress he caused definitely wired some worry into my brain.
Constant stress takes a toll.
But the flip side is hopeful. Just like negative thoughts can harm, our moment-to-moment thinking can actually help our brains heal.
Yeah, that inner world connection is crucial.
Yeah.
Our thoughts literally have the power to help or harm our own brains.
Seriously powerful. And to actually see this, Dr. Dispenza mentions SPECT imaging.
Right, SPECT scans. They're different from, say, an MRI that shows structure. SPECT shows function, blood flow, activity levels.
How the brain is actually working. The Amen clinics have done, what, over 70,000 scans?
A massive database. And they've learned so much.
Yeah, like how serious even minor brain injuries can be, how bad alcohol is, even some common anxiety meds can be problematic.
And that Alzheimer's can start decades before symptoms show up.
Scary stuff. It really made me think. I had this, I guess you'd call it brain envy. I wanted a really healthy brain.
Didn't we all?
Yeah. I thought I was doing okay, didn't drink much, no drugs. But then I saw my own scan.
Yeah.
Yikes. It was, toxic and bumpy, as Dr. Emmon might say.
Really? What was causing it?
Bad habits I didn't even connect to brain health. Fast food, diet sodas, not enough sleep, holding on to old hurts, no exercise, stress, being overweight, all of it.
Wow. That really illustrates how those seemingly small daily choices add up. That brain envy can be a real motivator for change, though.
Definitely. And that's kind of the mission here, right? To demystify this stuff, connect the science to how you can actually apply it.
Make it usable.
Because changing isn't easy. It feels like swimming upstream sometimes. It takes effort. It's uncomfortable. People might even look at you funny if they're stuck in their ways.
Resistance is common, both internal and external.
But history's full of people who swam upstream, right? So we're going to explore becoming, as the book puts it, greater than your environment, greater than your body, and even greater than time.
Those three pillars are central, moving beyond being defined by the external.
Okay, so how do we start? Dr. Dispenza talks about three brains: thinking, doing, and being.
Neocortex, limbic system, cerebellum.
Right. And here's a key idea. If you can truly focus inward, tune out the noise, the environment, your body's usual signals, thoughts about time, you can go from just thinking about a new way of being
To actually being it.
Yeah.
without needing an external event first.
Exactly. Because, get this, your brain doesn't really distinguish between an actual experience out there and one you vividly create in your mind.
So mental rehearsal.
Can create the emotions of a future event before it happens, and those emotions start rewriting subconscious programs. You create a new state of being where mind and body are finally on the same page.
That mind-body connection, or rather the lack of distinction in the brain, is such a powerful leverage point.
And the tool for that deep inward focus, meditation.
Meditation. But not just sitting quietly.
No, Dr. Dispenza is clear. The point is to get beyond the analytical mind into the subconscious operating system. That's where the real change happens.
Because if you finish meditating and you're the same person with the same feelings,
Then nothing fundamentally shifted. But if you connect to something greater, create that coherence between thoughts and feelings.
then external chaos doesn't rock you as much.
Right. And learning it is like any skill, cooking, golf, whatever. It feels awkward at first.
You need practice, repetition, until it becomes smooth, second nature, your own process.
And it all comes back to that goal, breaking the habit of being the old you to create the new life you want.
A very active, intentional process.
Okay, so part 2 dives into overcoming your environment. We said thoughts create your life.
So if you want a different life, you need different thoughts and feelings. Routine thinking leads to routine reality.
Makes sense. Think about your daily grind. Same people, same places, same stuff. All those familiar things trigger the same memories.
Which then literally put you back in the same mind to have the same experiences.
So your environment ends up kind of controlling your mind, constantly nudging you back to the familiar identity based on the outside world.
Exactly. You observe reality with a mind that's sort of equal to it, so you just keep collapsing possibilities into the same old events. More of the same.
And if you're always thinking from past memories,
You can only create past experiences. It's logical, in a way. The sensory input from the familiar world just keeps the same stream of consciousness flowing.
so the big question hangs there. If the environment and your reactions are always the same, how can anything new ever really happen for you?
It's a feedback loop. Repeating those neural patterns hardwires the brain to match those familiar conditions, good or bad.
But then you think about figures like Gandhi. They believed in a future reality so strongly.
They lived as if it were already happening. Their mind was ahead of their current environment. That's powerful.
Real power when your thoughts, intentions, actions, words, everything lines up. They didn't need constant proof from the outside world. Their focus was unwavering.
Their internal state dictated their experience more than the external circumstances did.
Now let's get into the nitty-gritty. Our cells have these little docking stations, receptor sites, that pick up info from outside.
Like little antenna.
Yeah. And the chemical messengers, neurotransmitters, neuropeptides, hormones, they carry signals that turn cells on or off, cause and affect chemistry.
They orchestrate everything.
But here's the danger zone. If your feelings become your means of thinking, if you can't think greater than how you feel, you're stuck.
That's a crucial point. Change requires thinking and acting beyond those familiar, memorized feelings.
Like that road rage example, the anger from work just spills over into the commute because the feeling is running the show.
And the subconscious being like 95% of the mind.
It only takes a stray thought, something you see, and bam, an automatic program kicks in.
And then that little voice starts, right? The internal chatter trying to talk you out of changing.
Oh yeah. It's too hard, you'll fail, just do it tomorrow. It uses your own weaknesses against you.
You forget your goal, you slip back into the old self. It's like trying to quit smoking. The body screams for the familiar.
If the body has become the mind, feelings rule. But the good news is, we can become conscious of this.
Awareness is the first step. But just thinking positive thoughts on the surface
Often isn't enough if your body is steeped in negative feelings. Mind and body are out of sync.
and constantly replaying a negative past event. Your body lives in that past because, to it, the emotion is real, whether the event is happening now or just in your head.
That's mind-blowing. The body doesn't know the difference.
Now let's connect this to genes. The old idea was DNA is destiny.
Right, set in stone.
But epigenetics turns that on its head. It's more about how the environment signals the genes.
So lifestyle, stress, our surroundings, they play a huge role.
A massive role. Less than 5% of diseases are purely single gene disorders. The other 95% involve lifestyle factors.
Wow. So genes make proteins, and organisms adapt over generations.
Like mammals getting thicker fur in the cold. Slow generational changes.
But epigenetics suggests we can influence our genes much faster.
Yes, by changing the signals we send them through our thoughts, feelings, emotions, behaviors,
Yeah.
we can potentially trigger new gene expression, making different proteins without altering the underlying DNA blueprint.
Like that study with diabetics watching comedies.
Exactly. Laughter, a positive emotional state, actually changed gene expression related to blood sugar control.
Incredible. So constantly reacting negatively to small stuff.
Programs the body for negativity at a cellular level.
Or worrying about the future based on the past, like fearing public speaking makes the body live in a stressful future that hasn't even happened.
It triggers the same stress response. But the amazing thing is our capacity to transcend time mentally, for our mind and body to partner in creating a better future.
Dr. Dispenza calls those moments peak experiences, right? Where the environment, body, time just fade away, like when I'm deep into writing.
Yes, those states of flow or altered consciousness.
Yeah.
But there's a potential trap.
What's that?
Identifying too strongly with our problems. They become our identity. We can get addicted to those low-frequency emotions, afraid to let them go.
Because who would we be without them?
Exactly. That excessive survival focus leads to selfishness, feeling powerless. It's different from a healthy ego just looking out for basic needs.
Like Bill's story, overcoming cancer by tackling his bitterness, changing his environment, stopping the negative loop.
He freed up energy for a new destiny, which leads to this idea of living as a nobody during creation.
Meaning?
Letting self-consciousness fade, dissociating from the known world, the familiar self, the ego. In that space, you stop making the usual chemical signature. Survival mode switches off.
The addiction to stress hormones breaks.
Yes, and that old energy transforms into higher emotions, joy, love, gratitude. The body is liberated, new possibilities open up.
And meditation is the key to going directly from thinking to being.
That's the essence of quantum creating. It starts with new thoughts, firing and wiring new connections. The brain loves learning.
Okay, part 3. Your brain and meditation. Those 3 brains again: thinking, feeling, habit.
Neocortex, limbic, cerebellum. Now we see how they work together for change.
The limbic brain, the feeling, emotional brain. When you have a new experience, it releases peptides, chemicals carrying the feeling of that experience.
Which signals the body to record it chemically. You embody the learning.
Then the cerebellum stores it as a habit, thought, attitude, behavior. The body just knows how to do it. Skills, habits live there.
That automatic pilot function. Let's use that mother-in-law dinner example again.
Okay. Dread sets in, old memories fire up, body tenses.
But then your thinking brain, the neocortex, remembers your goal, maybe compassion. You decide not to react the old way.
You use knowledge to think differently.
Right. Focusing on who you want to be cools off those old reactive circuits. You're unwiring the old self.
Then at dinner, you modify your behavior, restrain the usual reaction.
And create a new experience. The limbic brain releases new chemicals.
Yeah.
Maybe the feeling of understanding or even goodwill.
Your body learns that new feeling chemically. You connect that feeling with your mother-in-law. A new associative memory forms.
Thinking brain and feeling brain work together to change your actions. But have you achieved a state of being?
Meaning, can I feel that compassion consistently regardless of what she does?
Exactly. If not, you haven't mastered it yet. Mastery is when your internal chemical state is greater than anything external. You've conditioned yourself through choice.
You've memorized that desired state, so if you can master suffering, you can master joy.
Absolutely. Think of the habitually negative person resisting joy. But when all 3 brains align knowledge, neocortex, experience emotion, limbic, habit being, cerebellum, you are biologically, chemically, genetically compassionate.
Knowledge becomes experience, becomes wisdom. It's embodied.
Precisely. We have declarative memory facts, events, and non-declarative skilled habits, emotions.
So thinking, neocortex, leads to doing new experience, limbic brain, and repeating that leads to being cerebellum, an innate program.
Yes. And that new state of being created inside should produce effects outside. That's moving beyond simple cause and effect to the quantum model.
How do you know it's working?
Unexpected synchronicities. New things showing up in your life. That's the feedback that you've created a new mind, a new state of being, an altered electromagnetic signature.
Because your thoughts and feelings are aligned, changing your reality. You can't think one way and feel another and expect change.
Your state of being, thoughts plus feelings, creates your reality. Period.
So goodbye, old cause and effect.
Embrace the quantum model. Choose a reality. Live it in thought and feeling. Give thanks before it happens.
Because when your body feels the future now, based on your inner focus,
You are connected to that future in the quantum field, in the present moment. Being stuck emotionally in the past or anxiously anticipating the future blocks that connection. Presence is key.
Okay, part 4. Using meditation to break the habit. I had this realization on the couch. My happiness felt totally dependent on external stuff.
Like you felt empty when the external stimulation stopped.
Totally. The me I showed the world felt fake because it needed outside validation. That gap between how we appear and how we really are inside.
It's a common experience. We use the external world, new job, new relationship, travel to define ourselves and distract from inner discomfort.
But the old limitations eventually surface, right? We try to escape emptiness with TV, internet, substances.
Relying on external things for internal change. And in relationships, shared experiences create emotional bonds. If you change, it can unsettle others who rely on that shared energy.
It rocks their boat, too.
Our inner self, our soul, tries to nudge us when things aren't joyful. But if we ignore the nudges,
You just go back to sleep emotionally. Trying to numb bad feelings with external fixes requires more and more over time.
which is why simply observing those memorized negative states without judging it is so powerful.
Observing to unmemorize them.
Exactly. It closes the gap between appearance and reality. It frees up tremendous energy, like Pamela's story.
Right, the child support victimhood, she let go of the emotion in meditation.
And boom, the money showed up unexpectedly. Removing the inner blockage allowed the outer flow.
You become more loving, conscious, willful. You don't need the external world for definition anymore.
You feel elevated emotions, happiness, inspiration, just because of who you are. And from that place of wholeness, not wanting or lacking.
Manifestation happens more naturally.
Yes, trying to create from lack reinforces lack. Creating from wholeness attracts wholeness.
Like my couch moment deciding to be a new personality, independent of validation, that led to unexpected joy, increased awareness.
That conscious decision is huge. Meditation, cultivating self in Sanskrit, is like tending that inner garden.
Preparing the soil, mind, removing weeds, old patterns, planting new seeds, thoughts.
Cultivation implies control, conscious steps, ensuring a harvest the new reality from the new personality. It's unlearning and learning.
Pruning old circuits, firing and wiring new ones. Old memories fade into wisdom.
Our brains develop through delta, theta, alpha waves, as kids subconscious to conscious. Meditation aims to move us back from beta, waking state, toward those calmer frequencies.
Beta is our everyday processing state. Mid-range beta is focus. But high-range beta,
That's stress, survival mode. Over-focused on the external, incoherent signals, scattered thoughts. It's linked to addiction to the big three environment: body, time.
stuck in survival, hard to focus inward. Eliminating focus on the big three allows more coherent brain patterns.
Kids learn via association inner feelings linked to outer world. Then the analytical mind develops, acting as a barrier between conscious and subconscious.
Conscious mind, 5%. Logic, will, creativity, subconscious, 95%. Automatic programs.
Meditation shifts brainwaves toward alpha theta, synchronizing the brain, creating coherence, open, relaxed, present, creative, shifting from survival to creation.
Like Jose's warts vanishing in deep meditation.
His coherent mind aligned with universal intelligence, allowing the body's innate wisdom to restore order. Or Monique winning the lottery.
After deciding to live from a different mindset, right?
Yes. Her new personality, her new state of being aligned with that possibility. The field responded.
So the meditation process itself, it's like climbing Mount Rainier, step by step.
Exactly. The initial steps are like reaching base camp reflection preparation. Learn it like any skill, build a foundation.
Like the advice for falling asleep, meditating in bed, change the location. Associate the new spot with growth.
The book offers specific techniques, like inductions to focus awareness and surrender. Then, the life review questions.
Getting honest about the old self you want to change.
Step 2. Choose one unwanted emotion or state to unmemorize. Acknowledge it's a memorized mask.
Step 3. Admitting and declaring. Being honest with the universe about what you've hidden, who you've been emotionally. Releases energy.
Step 4. Surrendering. Humbly asking a greater intelligence for help, trusting it can resolve your limitations. Often brings joy, inspiration as side effects.
Step 5. Observing yourself. Metacognition. Becoming conscious of the automatic thoughts and actions linked to that emotion. Write them down.
Catch yourself before going unconscious. Like Pavlov's dogs, associated memories trigger automatic responses. Mentally rehearse stopping the old self.
Step 6. Redirecting. When the negative thought comes, catch it, question if it's loving, return to the present, affirm your goal.
Step 7. creating and rehearsing the new you. The first steps cleared the space, now you build the new.
Emotionally embrace that new future, protect it, nurture it with love.
Recondition the body to the new mind, signal new genes, memorize a new state, use the questions provided to envision your ideal self.
Visualize specific future events from that elevated state, bond with that future, feel the joy, then let go.
Attention directs energy. Use the freed up energy to create. Week 4 meditation focuses purely on creating, less analysis.
How do you know what to change next, or work on multiple things?
Make it your own process. Daily meditation is key. Adjust as you evolve. Maybe focus on one aspect for 4 or 6 weeks, then another layer might emerge.
Read more, attend workshops for deeper dives.
Ultimately, through consistent effort, the consciousness of the greater mind becomes your consciousness. You naturally become more divine, your true state.
Unmemorizing survival emotions lifts your frequency. A greater power becomes you.
And the irony. From that place of wholeness, you no longer need anything. Unconditional love flows. You act from coherence.
Attention directs energy. Focus inward, reality expands. But the future doesn't give instant feedback.
So the temptation is to revert to the familiar, the material. Resist it. Make positive qualities new habits. Break free. Find your true self.
The greatest habit to break is being yourself.
And the greatest habit to create is expressing the divine through you, inhabiting your true self.
Wow. Okay, so let's just wrap this up. This deep dive really highlights our potential for change, rooted in, well, quantum ideas, the power of our minds over brain and genes.
And the practical tool of meditation to make it happen.
Right. This has been a starting point, using the material you shared, offering concepts and tools for you, the listener, to explore.
It's about personal exploration now.
So, maybe a final thought to leave you with. What's one habit of being yourself that you feel most inspired to maybe look at, maybe even break, now that you understand the science behind creating a new you?
Definitely worth considering. Go back to the source material with these ideas fresh in your mind. See what resonates.
Absolutely. Consider exploring Dr. Dispenza's work further if this sparks something.